Hello, F2 Fan 5000 here. Welcome to Indycar ratings of 2026. Arlington Grand Prix, Java House, whatever it is. You know what it is. It's the Texas Grand Prix, the Indycar race. And the driver ratings. So going to start off, Joseph Newgarden gets a 6 out of 10. Penske was on top of the world at the Phoenix Oval, but here they're lagging a bit. But he's finished behind his teammate David Malukas, who's new to the team, and I don't remember seeing him that often near the front. It's possible because he was running a contra strategy that didn't work. I'm sorry to say, there's so many different strategies going on. I got a little bit confused, but he's definitely finished behind his less experienced teammate. Gets a 6. Scott McLaughlin also gets a 6. I felt he was fairly anonymous all weekend. And Caio Collet gets a 7. I think this is the best showing for the young Brazilian racer, the rookie. There's strategy in IndyCar is very difficult to nail, especially if you're not in the top team and you're lacking experience. But Caio Collet definitely a lot faster this week and finished in the top 15. Patricio Award gets an 8 out of 10. He clearly had the advantage over Christian Lundgaard all weekend and was the top McLaren driver. And Christian Lundgaard gets Nolan Siegel gets a 5 out of 10. I'm quite generous with the ratings this time because this circuit looks very difficult to drive around, and I think he hasn't crashed. I mean, he's crashed out of the race, but because, as I understand it, Kyffin Simpson hit him in the back, and that's not really his fault. It's not the fault of Nolan Siegel. Up to that point, a very unmemorable race, to be honest. And Christian Lundgaard gets a 6 because he's been handily beaten by Patricio Award, but he did sneak into the top 10, so maybe 6 is a little bit harsh, but I still feel as though I expect more from Christian Lundgaard. Kyffin Simpson gets a 4, and I want to explain why he gets as high as a 4. I know that he's running to the back of Nolan Siegel. However, I don't like the safety car restarts where they bunch everyone up, and that track is so tight and twisty and narrow. So I'm not really surprised that there's been some sort of incident, and I don't think you can just blame the driver 100%. To me, it's just the nature of safety car restarts. Scott Dixon gets a 7 out of 10. Crashed in qualifying, but he's made places in the race with a very brave strategy to go long on the hard tyres and finished inside the top 10. His teammate Alex Palou gets an 8 out of 10. He finishes second, but it's considering he's just won 4 IndyCar championships in the last 5 years, I sort of expect a little bit more, but he looked a little bit helpless against Cole Kirkwood. Obviously, I think a lot of it is to do with the setup of the car. And, it seems that Andretti have come back strongly this weekend. 3 cars in the top 4. Maybe there's not much else Alex Palou could have done. He's obviously destroyed his teammates, so maybe he deserves more than an 8, but I just feel as though it's not his best weekend. David Malukas gets a 6, which is unfair a little bit. I mean, I think he should get a 7. Why have I given him a 6? Driven a good race, the highest of the Penskes, and Santino Ferrucci gets a 5. He's been anonymous all weekend. I mean, possibly the team he's in. The AJ Foyt maybe they're struggling. Oh, he's beaten by Caio Collet. no, I think 5 is what he deserves. Graham Rahal at the back of in the back half of the pack all weekend gets a 5 out of 10. Roman Grosjean, that team was struggling. What are they called now? Dale Coyne is struggling, and Grosjean has been behind Dennis Hauger for most of the race, and he's involved in that crash as well, which I don't think is his fault, the crash, but, he gets a 5 out of 10. Dennis Hauger gets a 5 out of 10, though. There were times when he looked a bit stronger, and then towards the end of the race he's falling back. Alexander Rossi gets a 6 out of 10. Definitely showed some pace and did finish in the top 10. Christian Rasmussen gets... I think I'm going to give him a 4 out of 10 because he had no pace all weekend. And I expect more from Rasmussen, Will Power gets a 9 out of 10. An excellent turnaround from the first 2 events on the podium. Looked fast. Made a alternate strategy work. Excellent driving from Will Power. Kyle Kirkwood gets a 10. Won the race. Dominated against Alex Palou, which is very rare to see. And just looked in a different postcode to his teammates in terms of his pace. Was well ahead of him before the safety cars happened towards the end of the race. Was dominating. It's fantastic to watch. Marcus Ericsson gets a 9 out of 10. Undone by strategy and slow pit stops, and should have been on the podium. Very harsh on Marcus Ericsson. Drove a fantastic race. I can't believe I'm praising Marcus Ericsson so much, but no, in IndyCar sometimes he really brings the goods. Louis Foster gets a 7. He's finished down in 13th place, which to me is 14th place. So I'll get to that in a minute. But the thing is, I always feel like this race is in the top 10. I don't know. When I'm watching this race, he's in the top 10, and somehow he's still finished in the top 15. I think that's quite a good job, and he's beaten his teammate Graham Rahal. To me, the weakest driver of the race was Mick Schumacher. I know that some of the contact wasn't completely his fault, but I feel as though he's the one that had the more unforced errors rather than any other driver. So he gets a 3. I've given Felix Rosenqvist an 8. Now, he's lost his 6th place with a post-race penalty. Well, to me, this is really I hate these penalties. This, as I said, the track is tight and narrow and twisty, and I think Felix Rosenqvist drove really well, and the restart penalty is just a lot of, what can I say? It's a lot of shit. And of course, because of the safety car, the effects of the penalty are exaggerated. So I don't think the official timing reflects how well Rosenqvist drove. In fact, he got a fantastic 6th place. Marcus Armstrong gets a 6 out of 10. He looked quick at times, so he was definitely outclassed by his teammate. And Rinus VK gets a 5 out of 10. I don't remember seeing him all race. And Stingray Rob also gets a 5 out of 10. I'll give them 5 because they kept it on the road, didn't crash into anyone, which seems like a big achievement, especially... Who's the driver that crashed? I know that Scott Dixon crashed in qualifying, and I think... Yes, McLaughlin as well. McLaughlin crashed. It looks like the sort of circuit, if you just go a little bit offline, or if you just take the corner in the wrong way, you're just going to hit the wall. It's like a bit like Baku in a way. So I think all the drivers have generally done a good job to keep to in the race, not hit the wall, not, break the front suspension. But as I said, Mick Schumacher was probably the least impressive driver. It's good to see the Andretti team coming back to the front of Indycar and, doing such a great job. Obviously, Will Power's highly experienced, and, Kyle Kirkwood is in his prime. Marcus Ericsson's doing a good job. So they can definitely fight for the constructors' title. The drivers' title is interesting. I'm not sure if they have... I don't know if Kirkwood and Andretti are going to be consistent enough to take the title, but we will see.